Hello and good evening. It is 6:30, spot on time for the mystery scrappy quilt number 6. So hopefully you have all remembered. I think the little post I put up actually said here, meaning So Totally Trisha page, but obviously it is in the group. Yes, so I can see a few people have remembered my pad tonight. So let me find it. So as I say, or as I should have said, well, it is the mystery scrappy quilt number 6. It is week 1 and we will be running for 6 weeks. So week 1, I'm going to show you how to make the basic block for the whole of the quilt, and weeks 2, 3, 4 and 5 will be rows of putting these blocks together in whatever order it will be for the different rows. And then week 6, we will be putting it together so that you can see exactly what it's going to come out like. And that's really 6 weeks' time. It will roll round really quickly, but it is going to be very exciting. I am looking forward to it because I haven't made it yet, but I've got a picture. I've drawn it all out, coloured it in, so I know exactly what it's going to look like. Now, let me just make sure I have no sound, because there, I would have done. Okay, let's see who is. I can see who's here, but who has said hello. So there's Jill and Pauline and Jane, hello. Linda, Amanda, Sue, Paula, Marilyn and Sue. So yes, as I say, it's just 6:31 at the minute. So I won't keep you too long tonight, perhaps half an hour to 45 minutes, if that. Because it is very straightforward, and then I can let you get on with your evening meal and your evening entertainment. So has it been a slow day here? No, I've sorted lots of bits and pieces out, and I have actually started to get the advent boxes together. Haven't got all the bits and pieces yet, but you've got a bit of fabric to cut, so I have been doing that. Who else is there? Oh, there's Judith, hello, and Vanessa, my lovely, and the other Vanessa, my lovely, which is super. So the other thing I have done, only just 15-20 minutes ago, I have put the instructions for the 3-inch blocks if you're making the smaller quilts, or the 5-inch blocks, that's right, 3s and 5s. So the larger quilt. The smaller quilt will finish at 48 inches square, and the larger quilt will be 80 inches square. So you've got a lap quilt or you've got a bed-size quilt as well. It won't, unfortunately, be a case of you could miss some rows out, because it will spoil the pattern. The pattern actually appears in all of that 16 rows of 16 blocks. So it's going to come together, over 6 weeks, and for perhaps an hour of your time each week to put 4 rows together. It really will be quite straightforward. Obviously, if you're starting it in a month's time or 3 months' time, and you're having it all to do and you're having a straightforward go at it, it will take a bit longer, I suppose, but you've got a week in between all the time. And so that if you have done 4 rows each week when they are up in the group, you'll have it all ready just to sew the rows together in week 6. So as I say, I'm looking forward to it. Who else is here now? Oh, there's quite a few come on since then. Yep, there it is. Oh, okay, Liz, that is fine. Did I say hello? Yes, I did, Judith and Vanessa. And Liz is going to catch up later. Lovely. And hello, Susan. Hello, Tony. Hello, Sue and Sue. I'm sure they put all the same name together. Hello, Nettie and Jane. You're going through your stash looking for fabric. Very time. go in the scrap bag. Saying that, I've cut the odd square, but you know, there's bound to be, the scrappier the better. The more different fabrics you use, the better it will look. Hello, Jeeta. Hello, Rosemary. Hello, Christine. Hello, Nikki. Okay. Oh, lovely. Enjoy yourself. Hello, Suzanne. You're looking forward to it. Lovely. So am I. Hello, Marilyn. Hello, Elaine. Whoops, move a little bit. Hello, Virginia and Pamela and Marion and Juliet. Fantastic. Right. And Christine. Hello, Christine. And Liz. You're looking forward to doing the quilt. Jolly good. I am looking forward to it immensely. So what am I going to do? I am going to... I'll show you something that I just had a play with. Sometimes I see little things and I think, oh, do you know what? I'll have a go at that. So this was a little project. I'm always looking for quick projects. And I got a bit of fabric and I saw this, a zippy pouch, right? Made up of zips. So if you've got any zips that you're not particularly keen on, I've made it, actually, the colours of my zips go with my fabric. There's black, there's grey, there's white. I haven't put any green, but can you see? I put those there. So I will show you how to make this last week. It's really, really easy. And obviously with all the zips, I'll split it that way, you can open whichever one you like. Let's see, it's hard to do it with one hand. But if I open that, I've got loads of thread in there, can you see? So that's for going in the middle, but the only one I wouldn't open is the top one and the bottom one. But you could open it here and it's opened up higher. So I thought I couldn't resist showing you. I made that earlier today, about a quarter of an hour, if that. It took me longer to find some zips, to be honest. So something a little bit different. Oh, they always let the dogs out when, well, I love animals, I must admit. But it's always when I need a little bit of peace and quiet. Right, I'm putting my pad, oops, I can't see it there, can I? Let's see where I could put it. Yeah, I do want it there, actually. I don't want it to fall down like that, just knock everything over. I can see it. Right, I'm going to show you down here because I'm going to show you the instructions that I have put up onto, there we are. So these are what I've put onto into the group just a little bit earlier. So what I've done, little spider there. So this one is making your quilt with 3-inch finished blocks. Okay, and it will tell you exactly how many of each you need to make. So, and what size they are. So this one is for your background squares, so which I put there. I told you there was going to be a little border, not the whole way around the edge, but parts of the edges. So any squares that I draw up with that grid will mean it is a border square colour. Then we have this one here, which is your background fabric with a coloured square. So half square triangles is what it's all about. And then this one here is your 2 colour squares. So this will be no background in here. This will be purely 2 different colour or patterned fabrics, any colours you like, but not background fabric. So those are all the requirements. And you can see here as well, I've given you options of what you're making or what size you're making. So you can make your half square triangles 2 at a time. And there's instructions in the group for doing that. And there's also for making 8 at a time. So what you'll notice, if you see here, I'm doing the smaller one, and the size of your squares that you will use will be different depending on whether you're making 2 at a time or 8 at a time. So this one is the smaller square. These are 4-inch for the 3-inch finished blocks. This one is my background. This will give me 2 half square triangles. Whereas for my other piece, I have to cut an 8-inch square of 2 fabrics. And this is going to be so this again is my background. And then I've got another coloured fabric for the other one. So at the minute, I'm just doing the 2 colour, the background and 1 colour half square triangle. And with this one, I'm going to make 8 at a time. Now, and I've done them in separate sheets so that you can choose straight away and just have one sheet with all the measurements and how many you need. So that one is the 3-inch finished, and then we have the 5-inch finished. So the measurements are different. The actual block colours here are the same in that this is the 2 colour, this is the background and 1 colour, these are your border squares, and that is your background fabric. And I think I was saying yesterday that you can choose whatever you like for your background fabric, but it needs to be the same. Every time there is a square showing like this, this will be your background. And it just needs to be the same throughout to give you the full effect of the finished quilt. Oh, so there's Susan. Hello, Susan, and hello, Jack. Oh, don't worry. You're going to make the smaller one this time. Yes, I would. Oh, there's Sandra as well, and Carolyn. Hope you got my message, Carolyn. Hello, Kerry. Hello, Alison. Hello, Leslie. Okay, I think we've got... And hello, Sue. Right, so those are your 2 sheets of telling you how many of which size to cut. The background are purely squares. The border are purely squares. The other 2 are half square triangles. And I would guarantee that most of you know exactly how to make half square triangles, but I'm going to show you just as a refresher, because you may not have made any half square triangles for some while, but now is your chance to have a play. So a little bit I have done already. These I have got are my 4-inch squares. So this is going to give me 2 half square triangles. So the reason I've done the 2 size is because if you are going to use your scraps of fabric, you might not have an 8-inch scrap of fabric. It may be that yours are all 5 or 6 inches, so you could cut your 4-inch square and make 2 at a time. On the other hand, if you've got some larger scraps of fabric, you can cut, for this one, the smaller one, 8-inch squares, one of the background, one of your colour, and I would imagine for your background fabric, you will use yardage for that, because if you're going to use the same fabric all the time for your background, which I think is essential, you will probably be cutting that from yardage. So I would see how many scraps you have that are 8 inches, or at least 8 inches, so that you can cut an 8-inch square, and then you can cut the required amount for, oh, that's lovely. Lovely, Carolyn. Hello, Yvonne. And Jack says, thank you for your very clear instructions. Oh, well, I'm glad they seem clear. That's good. So I have done already, or what I have done already is I have marked my fabric. So I have put, with both of them, I have put 2 squares together, right sides together, obviously with my plain background fabric. It doesn't have a right or a wrong side. Well, it does, but you can't tell. So I have got my coloured fabric, and because I'm using a dark background one, I can use lots of light fabrics in this as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this turns out, whereas I usually use the safe bet of using an ivory or a white background, and then I use lots of darker colours and brighter colours, and it usually works out well. But with a dark one, I can use a lot of light. What you need is contrast, basically. So whatever you choose for your background fabric, make sure your scraps are a good contrast, a high contrast to your background fabric. So with my smaller square, so it's 4 inches for the small one. it will be 6 inches for the bigger one. And for my larger one that I'm going to make 8 at a time, it is 8 inches for the small one, but it is 12 inches square for the larger quilt. So with my 2 at a time, I've drawn 1 diagonal line. Any pen will do, because you're not going to see that. That will eventually be our cutting line. So don't worry about what pen or pencil you're using. With my larger square, I've drawn 2 diagonals, both diagonals, corner to corner, in both directions. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to stitch along both sides of each line. And I'll start with the smaller one first, and 1/4 of an inch away from that line. So I'm stitching with 100% cotton fabric. So I use my patchwork stitch length, which for me is 1.8. So anything 2 and below, and 1/4 of an inch seam. So pop your 1/4 of an inch foot on if you would like to, or you can always use your standard foot and move your needle position to 5.5. Some people might find the machines it's 5.6, but just check which one yours is. 5.5 is for the very usual one. Okay, so I've stitched, or you can see better there, I've stitched 1/4 of an inch to each side there. Actually, I could do with a little bit of tension, I think. Ooh, don't know. Right. Then I'm going to do at the same time my 8-inch square. So we'll start here, and we will stitch down this side here. So I have used pins to hold the pieces together, because we don't want them to move. It isn't critical if they did shift a little bit, so they don't line up around the edges, because, so I'm going down one side and then the other, because we will be trimming to size after we've done the stitching and cutting them apart. So we will just quickly, you can see mine shifted a little bit there, but we will get away with that, because we will be trimming. So now the other diagonal, and I'm just looking at the right hand side of my foot to make sure that's lining up with the line to give me that even seam the whole way along. I must admit, I was using, as you saw, my Teflon foot the other day for the Dukey, and this gives 1/4 of an inch seam allowance as well, and it was lovely foot to use. So I could have left that on, because I do see lots of people using a Teflon foot, whatever fabric they're using, because it does glide over your fabric really well. So we're coming down the other side here. There we go. Right, so let's take our pins out like that, and we'll take the pins out of this one too. And what we're going to do now, I might just wander over to the table, because I think you get a much better view of what I'm doing. So, ruler, rotary cutter, over to the table. So come walk with me, and there's a ruler in the way. No, let's go down here. We'll go a little bit further along, because it's an empty space. Okay, so there we are. So all I'm going to do, my mat is getting a little bit worse for wear. So with my 2 at a time, all I'm going to do is lay my ruler on the square and cut along that drawn line. So I can set that aside. And then similarly with this one. Now, this one, so it depends which size you're using, but I'm not cutting these along these drawn lines first. I'm going to cut horizontally and vertically. So as I know this width is 8 inches, I'm going to put my 4-inch line down at the left-hand side of the square. And what should happen, and fortunately it has, the ruler is lined up exactly with where those lines dissect each other. So I'm going to cut along there. I'm not going to shift that fabric because I want it to say where it is. And I'm going to do the same again and put my 4-inch line down this edge so that I can cut, well, what is to me now horizontally. And again, cut along there. And what I have now, doesn't matter if they move, I am moving them because I've got my drawn line of where to cut. If you were to cut these drawn lines first, what you'll be left with is trying to measure exactly where you need to cut these into squares, and it'll be a lot worse or a lot more difficult, not impossible, but it's easier to do the horizontal and vertical first, followed by cutting along the lines. So if I just line those all the same way, I can just cut to my heart's content. So there we are. And it doesn't even matter if you're not even exactly on the line, because when we come to trim these, we are working with the stitch line. And as long as you have got a seam allowance, you will be absolutely fine. Okay, so, and also what you will find, whether we made 2 at a time or 8 at a time even, they are all exactly the same size. So let's just pick all of those up and we will walk back to our machine, because the next thing we need to do is trim. No, we're going to come back here because, again, there is more space. One of these days I'll get my act together and remember exactly what I'm doing. So, having cut those triangles, they are that little bit larger. So I have actually got my easy half square triangle. So I'm going to do 7 of these, and then the other one I will do in another way. So let's do it on this side so that you can see better. So there is my stitch line. So I'm looking on the smaller one for the 3.5 inch, there we are, that 3.5 inch dashed line. So I'm lining always the dashed line, 3.5 on this occasion, with my stitch line. So I'm going to pop that on there, and there's a little bit of excess fabric each side. So what we're going to do is line that up, and I'm going to trim down there, and then I'm going to put my blade, hopefully so, in that slot. And I'm moving my feet here so that I now have a half square triangle with that the points taken off. So let's just do another one. In fact, I've got 7 to do. Now I can see that seam allowance is less than the other one, but it's not going to make any difference at all, because my half square triangles are going to come out the perfect size, which is finished at 3.5. So I am coming down there on myself. Now I put the, I rest my hand on the ruler, or on my hand, so that I'm nowhere near my hands. I'm not going to cut my hands at all. So that's it. Here's another one. So you'll never forget how to use this. I'm just making sure I've got a little bit of excess fabric at each size. But this will matter if you were to just press them now before trimming. They're not all going to be the same size. So let's have a look here. 1, 2, 3, there's another. I've got that on the same line, 3.5 for this one. On the bigger ones, it will be 5.5. but the small ones, it's going to be 3.5. Take that out of the way. And as I say, I'm sure you've done this all before, and it will be nice and straightforward to you. One of the things I wouldn't suggest that you sit down at 9 o'clock in the morning and think, right, I'm going to do all of this today. I would do it little by little. Oh, I didn't cut that very well, did I? Let's just see, just trim that a little bit. There we go. Little by little, so that it's not such a huge task. I shouldn't be standing up doing this because it does, in fact, make my back ache. Never mind. Nice sharp blade. That was something I meant to put in the group or anywhere. Change your blade on your rotary cutter. I'm often telling you about sewing machine needles. When did you last change your sewing machine needle? When did you last change your rotary blade? I did mine last week, and boy, it was heaven. I never use a blunt blade, but it does get to a point when it becomes a little bit harder. And I tell you, when you put a new blade in your rotary cutter, it is absolutely amazing. So you will feel the difference straight away. And I've been cutting through 8 layers of fabric, and it's just like, as they say, a hot knife through butter. Right, so we've only got one I'm going to show you in a minute. Oh, I didn't trim those bits off, did I? Let's just take that there and take that there. So I'm just going to do one more here. And then the other one I'm going to show you, I'm going to pop my iron on. So this is for using your easy half square triangle ruler, or the easy HST. But this one, if you haven't got a half square triangle ruler, you would now go to the ironing board, and what I would do is have my dark side up, press to set the seam, open it out, and come back with a square like this. So I'm just going to do that so that I don't just keep taking the camera over here all the time. But I'm going to open this out, and then I'm going to trim it. Right, so I've now pressed that, which I imagine perhaps a lot of you will be doing, a lot of you won't. So there is my half square triangle. It's a square just like these others will be when I press them. And if we measure it, it needs to be 3.5, and it's actually 3 3/4, isn't it? Let's just come down just a little bit more. There we go. I'm sure you can see that okay. It's bigger than 3 3/4. So what we do, can you see this line going down? I'll pop it here. This diagonal line, when you're trimming the square down, this line needs to go along the seam line between the two fabrics. So if I pop that on there, it's on. And what I can do is drag my ruler down just a little bit, and I'm looking at these 3.5-inch line here and here, and I can see there's excess fabric which we will trim away. But what we also want to do is trim away a little bit here and here. So I'm just moving that diagonal line down a bit, so I've got excess fabric on all 4 sides. And then when I can see the little bit here and a little bit there, I'm going to cut at the right and along the top. Okay. And then I'm going to turn this 180 degrees. So all the way around like that. These were my cut sides that I've just cut. So now I'm going to line the 3.5 with those 2 sides. And what you'll notice is, that's it, that's perfect now. You'll notice that diagonal line still goes through there, right along the seam. And then I can trim up the right again and across the top. like that. Now, I'll just take one of these away for a minute and press this. So this is one of my ones I've cut with the half square triangle ruler. And what it will show you is that fortunately, they are both going to come out in exactly the same size. So I'm not doing any, and if they don't, I shall be shocked. Okay, so there's the one I've just pressed. And when I go like that, I have got two identical, turn it over there so you can see, two identical half square triangles. So that is what we're aiming for. Right, so I've got those two, and then I'll just take these back. I've got no more cutting to do. Let's take these back to where the iron is, and I'll show you how I would iron these. So let's just take our mat here. I've got my mat. Pop it on there with my half square triangles. Lift this up a bit like that. And I have got my iron ready. So, there we are. So again, as I was saying, always have your darker fabric on top, pressing to the dark side. If you have all your triangles all facing the same way, in fact, I'd probably face them so they were down here because it's easier. Let's just turn that down a little. So, first one, give it a press, peel that back, and then press across, and there's the first one. Beautiful. Number two, on an ironing board where it doesn't slip about so much, I get a load of these done very, very quickly. So again, onto there, and then I just press. I don't really want steam. Let's turn that steam off. There I have number two. Oh, no steam, please. That's it. Set the seam, pull it apart, and just press along that seam. I don't go backwards and forwards here. I just go along there, and then side of the iron, and across. Set the seam. So just one little press, and then up the seam. Oh, I thought I'd turned the steam down, but obviously I hadn't. There we go. Two more to go, and you will be set to go. There we are. And there we are. So you can see I've done 10 there. If you were working with all 8-inch squares, you would get half square triangles a go-go made in no time at all. So, yes, Jack's going to treat herself to a new rotary blade cutter before you start cutting the quilt. Absolutely. A new rotary blade is good. What I would always suggest is to buy a decent rotary cutter. I don't use the most expensive ones. I have got all for ones. I do use Siesta, which is that orange handled ones. They're not the most expensive. It's all about the blade and the comfort in your hand. And the thing with the Siesta, the orange handled ones, they are perfect for both left and right-handed people. So this one, they're probably one of the cheap. No, there are very cheap ones, and I wouldn't go for them at all. They have a rigid handle with like little bits like this, but this is a softer rubber grip. They are plastic, rigid plastic, and they are. I've seen people using them, and I just think they are. I've all had them before in the early days, and it's awful. But this one, I'm using it right-handed. Turn it over, I can use it left-handed. I don't have to change the blade around here to be left-handed. Okay, I'm just going to swap it that way, and I use it right-handed. Perfect. And everything for ease. So I have got those. These are some I made earlier. So I am well on the way. There are some you need to make, as you'll see, that have not. I've got the background on both of these, but to have two fabrics together, no background, but two fabrics as well. And you'll see how it all turns out. Right. Yeah, possibly. I think it could have been my mat wasn't that good either. Right, we are here. Back again. Oh, what a mess. There we are. We'll try and hide that. Okay, so this is all we need to do, whether it be 2 at a time or 8 at a time. I've got 10 here now, 10 here. I am well on my way. And actually, if you get a bit of a system going, you could mark or pair your fabrics together, do the markings and just stitch to your heart's content. And then you could come back to it later and you could do the cutting and the pressing, and then you could go away and you come back and do a bit more. So it needn't be a real task because it sounds a lot of blocks. So 256 in total, but a lot of them are squares. So it will only just be a case of cutting them. So I wouldn't worry too much. So let me have a look here. Oh, come on. Come on. Comments have gone for some reason. There we are. Suzanne, you could use a charm pack, but it's a little bit of a waste because you're going to be if you're doing the smaller one, you're going to be cutting them down. You're going to cut 1 inch off each side. Unless with those inch strips, you make one of the strip and zip bags, because the inch pieces would be great for that. But, if you use, it would be a completely different size. If you were to use the charms the size they are, there would be different measurements you would need to use. And I've just worked it all out in 2 sizes anyway, the 3 inch and the 5 inch. So I would save your charm pack for something else. I'll come up with something at some point. I mean, with the charm pack, to be honest, I would probably with that, don't cut them up at all and work with other 5 inch squares. So, cut some plain squares or something different and use your charm pack as a square design. Because it seems such a waste to chop them down a little bit. And at the end of the day, there are pre-cut shapes, so there's no need for you to do any cutting or less cutting than if you were cutting, say, 4 inch or 3 inch squares. So save them for another day. And I'll perhaps see if I can find something else to do that would use charm squares. Da-de-da. Do I have that lovely blue fabric, Trisha? It's lovely. I have this one, if you're talking about. I have that one. Yes, I have a bolt of that. I don't have, that was a scrap. And this is the end of a bolt in the dark. That's why I was using it. So I thought there'll be enough there for me to do that. So, but if it's the blue flowery one, which I do believe is an Adidas Sitar from ages ago, I have got some of that. Okay. Got to go now, Nikki. That's fine. I have, oh, hello, Jane. And hello, Beverly. Any idea how much yardage? Virginia, I haven't. I must admit, I sat there the other day and I thought I could work that out by, you see, with your, because it's about scraps, you know, there's not really, it's a case of picking up all the odd bits you got and cutting your squares from there. As for the yardage for your backing fabric, let me just have a look. If you're doing the small one, I'll work it out now. Let's have a look. I'll work it out now. So if you're doing the 3 inch one, the background, you'll need 76 squares. So 3.5 inch squares, you are going to get 3.5, 7, 3 sevens, so you get 6. So you will get 12 out of a 3.5 inch strip of fabric. 12 into 76 is 6, 84, 7. So really you would want 7 3.5s, which is 7 threes are 21, 24.5. You'd want about 25 inches of background fabric. Okay. So that is between 1/2 and 3/4 of a metre. The rest of them, as I say, is just scraps. So it's whatever you've got. And the more varied, the better. If you're going to make the big one, where you are cutting 5.5 inch squares, you are going to get 5.5, 42, 8. You won't quite get 8. You'll only get 7 out of a 5.5 inch strip. So you need 76 squares. So that's 11. 11 times 5.5 is 11 fives are 55. 55, 60, 60. You'd need about 65 inches. So that's just over 1.5 meters for the larger one for your background fabrics. Okay, how's that? That was getting my brain going on a Friday evening. Okay, hello Denise. Oh, the big one, yeah. So what did I just say there? 65 inches? I think I did. 65, which is just over 1.75 meters. 80 inches is 2 meters-ish. So, yeah, if you've got a 2 meter piece for your background, you'll have plenty. Okay. Okay, Janet, don't worry. Don't worry. Okay. Okay. Virginia, I have a mathematical brain. I used to love maths when I was at school, even at primary school, even at middle school, middle school. It was secondary school then. And even I did maths A level and I absolutely loved it. Maths is my thing. Yes. And logic is my thing as well. I love the 1% Club. And I don't think I told you, it's got nothing to do with it. But a few weeks back, when I think there were 10 people going for that 1% question and nobody got it right. But do you know what? I did. I got it right. I was amazed. And it was, I can remember exactly what it was. It was the number 8 inside what looked like a box, but it was a cube. And there was a word that this diagram was referring to, what it was, the word from this shape and number 8. And I was saying all these things then I just said incubate before the time was up and I got it right. I felt so chuffed with myself, but that's something totally irrelevant and stupid. Anyhow, it chuffed me on the evening. Right, so are we all happy? Do we all know what we are going to do? So I think, as I said last night, if you just make a few, it is going to be, it's harder on the show itself, I am sure, Jane. That time, I do things within the time, but you're under pressure to get it exactly right. I don't get them all right by far, but it was just purely that one that really made me chuffed. Leslie, you are going to be busy, aren't you? Yes. So what I would say, I haven't got my chart here with me, and I don't know which rows I'm going to do for a start, but if you were to get 16, if you were to get, you'll need 64, whether it be squares or, it'll be combination of squares, background and half square triangles with 2 colours or one in the background. Just get a few cut out, ready to go. If you feel the urge that you want to do even more and get them all cut, absolutely fine. But if it seems like just a step too far to cut all of that in one go, just do a few so that you've got enough to do the first 4 rows, which we will be doing next week. And as I also said, it will only be 2 rows, 2 different rows, and each of those rows will be duplicated. So it's not a case that you have to do the exact same colours in the exact same position. No, because as you know, this is all going to be down to the direction of, where are we? There. You see how they both go in different directions? Well, it's all to do with how they go together. If I show you those two, I mean, if they were like that, if they were going like that together, we could have a point, couldn't we? If they were going like that, we could have a cream point. If they were going like that, we have a diagonal line. And then just imagine if we've got 2 colours. I mean, this looks like it's 2 colours. So you just don't know. You could have a diagonal. It is going to make all sorts, and it is going to be such fun. So if you just get a few of each done, so a few of the 2 colour half square triangles, a few of the background and 1 colour triangles, a few of your background squares, and a few borders. It might be an area where there's no borders on there, but if you have a few and there's not too many of those to cut, 44, and you need 76. And as I was saying, it's not too many rows. Once you, I think for the larger one, 11 rows, and you can stack them. So if you, rather than cutting one at a time, obviously with scraps you'll probably need to do that, but when you're doing background fabric and you're cutting it from yardage, stack them. Perhaps have 3, the width of the fabric folded will give you 2 layers. Perhaps put 3, stack them on top of each other and cut across. And as I say, for your, let's say for your 3-inch ones, you are going to get 7, you're going to get 14 from one strip. So you're going to cut 42 by just doing 7 cuts across the strip. And 42, let me see, I can't remember how many. Oh, background squares. Yeah, you only need 76. So basically 2 lots of cutting and not that much at all when you break it down by layering them up and you're cutting many at the same time. Okay, I don't think, is the other border square? Yes, the border squares are different. I mean, when it actually comes to it, you might, because that's what I'm thinking. On my diagram, I did it with a different border colour. But the border colours will all be the same. So like I have my background of blue, I could have my border ones all being red or all being green. But I would have them all the same colour. Yes, I put that there. All one colour for your borders and all one colour for your background as well. But it could be you decide to do the border ones in exactly the same as your background. I mean, that might work as well. I think it would. And I may very well do that my border squares happen to be the background as well. Yes. Okay. So yes, the first week is just cutting and making your half square triangles and your squares. Yeah, I think that's a good idea, Jack. Make it easy for yourself and do a few of each for next week so you don't get too far. Absolutely that. And then it's not a big deal. You know, if you want to find 3 hours in your day at the weekend or one day this week and you haven't got 3 hours, there's no need to, get pressurized about it, because even if you don't do it for next week, it doesn't matter. And even if you don't do it in 6 weeks' time, you've got all the time in the world after that. That's, I suppose, if I don't give you any more projects to do, because I keep bringing you all sorts, don't I? No, you're not, Vanessa. No, it's not being thick. It's a deliberating point, because, as I said, I have put it separately to be in a different colour, but I also believe that it doesn't have to be in a different colour. Possibly if you are doing a white ivory, a light, a pale background, and you've got lots of colours in the main area of the quilt. This border part may look very nice with black as your border pieces to sort of frame it. But as I say, as I'm using dark, you can't picture it, but I'm sure whatever you do, it will be lovely. And if worst comes to the worst, all of these border squares are the ones right on the edge. And all you would need to do is unpick one row and put a different fabric on there as well. So it won't be too big a deal if you change your mind and have to unpick just a little bit to get what you really wanted. But at the end of the day, it's a scrappy quilt. So if you choose for the border to put all scrappy squares, you could do that too. So yes. Yes, so everybody's saying, Vanessa, you are not being thick. You are by no means thick. No, not even, there's not even a sliver of doubt in my mind. You are the most talented lady, knowledgeable, and a fantastic student. So there you go. Hello, Tony, and ciao for now. Oh, says have a brilliant weekend. Have a brilliant weekend, everyone, and bye. Ciao for now, Tony. Yes, Rosemary, I will put it on YouTube, but it will be unlisted, which means that the general public can't see it, but I will put the link into the group so that it's saved forever. So as you know, and probably what you're saying is, this tonight is going to disappear. So yes, I will download it and upload it to YouTube, but as I say, you won't find it on YouTube. I'll release it to the public at some point in time, but this is just for you. And I will pop it back into this group so that you can see it here ad infinitum, well, for a long time. Yeah, it's the only, I do download, I have started to edit the first bits off of some of the videos as well, so that you don't get all the chitter chatter that we have. I know some of you like it, but, oh, thank you, Sue. You are so kind. Thank you, Nettie. Oh, Bridget, you're not that either. Oh, I like to make you blush. Oh, where's that gone? There we are. I'm making you blush. I'll make you blush, Vanessa. Okay. Whoops, I'm just looking down there. You're all very intelligent people, and I know you are, and creative, and that is the most important. And no, what's the most important is you're all lovely, caring people. So I'm going to leave you now because, oh, it's quite good. 10 minutes and it's fish and chip time. So when that doorbell goes, I should be ready. And I'm a little bit peckish tonight. So I'll leave you there. This is what we've made or will be making. Half square triangles. Cutting some squares. Perhaps leave your background ones for the time being. And see how you go. Make a few, make them all, and be ready for next Friday at 6:30 for the first couple of rows, which you will repeat. So you've got 4, and we'll see how it goes. So thanks for joining me tonight. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.